Sukuka muko kakera nnyo mama akolako wannyo alina okulabirira abato school fees okusoma n'ebitabo olusi tebalina kale ekyokulya okukifuna baguba yatetenkanya yayiya ebyensulako n'ebyokulya omukyala basirika baguma banyigirizibwa naye bakola independent woman, African woman. Hey, oh muchala, singa si muchala, singa sa soma, singa si mambo, singa sa kula, singa si muchala, singa sa soma, singa si mambo, singa sa kula, teberezanga ali luto akabanga kawanvu ku hospital kale sirinnyawo tazirina natambulawo sina kinja zalidde ku kkubo ate wali ayamba naguma yennyabo bagumira biki olugendo lw'okukuza omwana galuwaavu banyikivu bakola bebakyala singa 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 momowe singa singa simamowe singa sakula singa singa simukyala singa sasoma singa singa simamowe singa sakula singa tafunye yadde nyabo ewaka byonna yabimala okwambala sako n'eddwaliro mama nyikira nnyo nnyo. She's so hard working and mankind. She's a woman of integrity, a mother, oh muchala, my mama, you must sing us a muchala.
Babe, I wanna give you some time.
My sweet Mutama, yeah. Baby, come closer, yeah.
Oh, yeah, single sick, yeah. Babe, I wanna give you some time.
My sweet Mutama, yeah. Baby, come closer, yeah.
Are you a lover? Are you a lover, lover? You give me love, give me love, give me more and more, give me more and more. Yeah, follow you, I will be your protector.
I'll be always by your side. Kufa John Collins said, find the roadside till you come. Give me love, give me love. Give me more and more, give me more and more. Now you're just so alive.
This is some time.
My sweet Mutama, yeah. Baby, come closer, yeah.
Oh, yeah, single sicker. Babe, I wanna give you some time.
My sweet Mutama, yeah. Baby, come closer, yeah.
I swear to God, I never found this kind of love. You're my baby, you're my telephone. Nashaka panado, yeah. Kubagu no mukwano munji, baby. Give me love, give me love. Give me more and more, give me more and more. Follow you, follow you. I will be your protector.
Moraho. Ikaje kyose nejya. Nimekuchagua wewe.
This is love, yeah. Feel like I'm losing you.
You should know I forever wanna be with you.
Oh, yeah, single sick. Oh no, yeah. Never wanna give you some time.
My sweet Mutama, yeah. Baby, come closer, yeah.
Oh, yeah, single sick. Oh, yeah. Never wanna give you some time.
My sweet Mutama, yeah. Baby, come closer, yeah.
Oh, yeah, single sick. No. Never wanna give you some time, baby. Oh, yeah.
All right. Welcome to the African Alumni Association. My name is Henry Sully, and this is the State of the Nation. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm very excited for what is going to happen. There is a lot to tell you. So I appreciate each and every one of you is waiting, and I look forward to having an interesting conversation.
This is the state of the nation. Irifa Mwanga. We are deliberate, we are reasonable, we are uncensored. The state of the nation with Henry Sully.
All right. Welcome back. My name is Henry Sully, and this is the State of the Nation. As always, we wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto African Alumni Association operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still home to many indigenous people from across the Turtle Island. And we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. Again, thank you so much for joining us. This is the State of the Nation. And of course, my name is Henry Sully. As you all know, we are supposed to have a conversation regarding the paradoxes of safe custody in Uganda. Why, for example, are there so many inconsistencies in what is supposed to be President Museveni's premier or distinguished trait, one that he has been known for many, many years. Many of you know that in 1986, he took over power, or he captured power using the barrel of the gun. Since then, he has been convincing Ugandans that he is the better bait. He is the safer choice. He is the right person to govern, to lead Uganda, because he can guarantee the people's security. He can guarantee protecting Ugandans and their properties. Why then, you ask yourself, have in recent days many people feel unsafe living in Uganda? There's a lot of torture that is happening to people who question what is going on in the country. Even those who do not question him are crying because their land is being taken away. So people are complaining that land is being stolen. And those who come out to speak about the evils that are happening against Ugandans, they are being silenced, either through illegal arrests or outright assassinations. You remember very well that many people were arrested during the campaigns in 2020. Many people are still rotting in Kitalia and other prisons around the country. Bintu bingi nnyo ebizze bibaawo abantu bye boogerako nga gavumenti eyagala byewulira. Bantu bangi nnyo be basibye nga gavumenti tevaayo kunnyonnyola nsonga lwaki babasiba. Most recently, Kakwenza Basajja faced similar ordeals for the second time. He was illegally arrested from his home, thrown into the SFC safe houses, persecuted there. And of course, the rest of the story has been well documented. You all know what went on. But it's not just Kakwenza. Dr. Stella Nyanzi has been persecuted over and over. 2 Ugandans, 2 writers, 2 of them that have been persecuted over and over for using their pen to outline or to bring out the inconsistencies in Museveni's security. Mr. Museveni continues to tell us that he is the person we should trust. Mwesigenze kubanga nze ndeta steady progress. Mwesigenze kubanga nze ngenda okubakuuma n'ebintu byammwe. Of course, this is a trait that he has sold all over the world. It is one that he has sold in East and Central Africa, and of course, to his international collaborators or colleagues or allies. Mwesigenze, nze nina amaanyi nja bakuumira abantu bammwe agenze mu Somalia, agenze South Sudan, agenze ne DRC. In fact, we have just been slapped with a fine of $325 million that we have to pay to the DRC because of the events that happened in the 90s. Many people called it the invasion of the DRC. So you ask yourselves, what is going on? What is happening? 2 days ago, Mr. Kakwenza Basajja's Twitter account was suspended for retweeting many of the thoughts that were written by other people, and of course some of his thoughts. Twitter nesalawo negamba agwe katukususpending kati abantu twebuuza Twitter akolerani. Twitter akolerani. Nkitegeera. So olunaku lwa leero tubadde tulina okubeera ne Kakwenza Basajja, Stella Nyanzi, and of course we were supposed to have a surprise guest, Mr. Dennis Yossel, the president of Pen German. Unfortunately, they have cancelled at the last hour. Yes, they have cancelled at the last hour. They can't make it. There are a couple of things that are supposed to happen. But I do have an audio from Kakwenza. I haven't listened to it. So I'm going to give you just a few minutes. Give me a few minutes to listen to it, and then I'll give you all the information. Of course, this conversation is going to happen with or without the persecuted. And I will let you know when the persecuted will be able to share their thoughts. This does not end here. Tutandika utanzi. We shall expose the junta and we shall have our voices heard.
Yes.
Jangu tugende Kampala. Jangu tugende Kampala. All right. Thank you so much again for joining us. This is the State of the Nation. My name is Henry Sally. And of course, you are all waiting to hear from Kakwenza Rukilabasaija and Dr. Stella Nyanzi. There are many things to talk about. The question is whether they are going to be talked about today. And the answer to that is a straight no. Mr. Kakwenza Rukilabasaija cannot make it today. Neither can Dr. Stella Nyanzi. And that's due to security reasons. Abadde bafollowinga mwakitegeddeko nti Twitter handle ya Kakwenza bakisuspended. Apparently that was due to security reasons, because there are some people trying to track him down to ensure that they bring him back to Uganda by all means. Lorenzo Ngeyo mpunye message last moment. Nevangamba, they cannot make it now to the show. And of course, Stella Nyanzi couldn't make it either because all her preparations for the show were reliant on having a conversation with Kakwenza. So if I cannot produce Mr. Kakwenza Rukilabasaija, I cannot produce Dr. Stella. For that matter, I cannot also produce Mr. Yosel, the journalist who was supposed to join us today as well. So it is unfortunate, but this is the world. Yenesije tuveramu. Chenjagalo bagamantino. Muteke munye sala musabire Kakwenza Rukilabasaija to make sure that he stays safe wherever he is. And of course, they will be joining us at a later date when things have sort of normalized, if there is such a thing of normalization of things. Nchimanyi kuliko banji nnyo abadde balinda okumanya wajali abamunga. They want to know genuinely kubanga they care about him, but also abadona abalala abadde bagala okumanya omusajja ono ali ludda wa akolaki nga they want it for selfish reasons to ensure that they figure out where the guy is so that they can continue to persecute him even from afar. Yensonga gye tuliko eyo nsonga nkulu. I want us to have this conversation regardless of whether Dr. Stella Nyanzi is here, regardless of whether Kakwenza Rukilabasaija is here. Before I left, nabadde mbagambyeko nti nina audio from the man himself. I cannot play that audio. I do have it. I'm not going to play it. It's up to you to believe if I do have it or not. But maybe I'll play it at a later date. Or when he comes, he will explain in his own words. Stella nnyo kwagala kwogerera bantu basobola okweyogerera ate nga bagezi nga Mwami Kakwenza ni Dr. Stella. Of course, when they come at a later date, they will let you know why they couldn't make it today. Specifically, why Mr. Kakwenza couldn't make it today. Dr. Stella was ready to make it, but nga bwe nkugambye nti no. There is always planning in these things. Or you prepare, kati people like Stella, they prepare based on the conversation that is going to happen. And she couldn't just show up when she prepared to share information based on Mr. Kakwenza Rukilabasaija's ordeal. Of course, for those of you who are following Dr. Stella Nyanzi on Twitter, you should have seen that she has been advertising this conversation. She was excited to be engaged in this conversation. Unfortunately, tajja kusobola kubeerawo naye nga ensi yaffe awo weetuuse. That's where we are today. So how do we move from there to where we should be in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? Where do you want Uganda to be in the next 20 years? These are conversations that we must have ourselves. These are dinner conversations. For those of you who are excited about Valentine's, it is good that you should be excited about Valentine's. Naye bw'ogenda n'omwagalwa wo ku Serena oba whichever hotel where you decide to go to, abali e Kampala, when you sit down at that table, talk about how much you love your loved one, but also ask them, are we going to be able to celebrate this in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years? Are the children we are going to bear, or the children that we are nurturing today, are they going to be able to enjoy the freedom of expression or speech? Are they going to be able to grow within the society that we live in today? Will they be able to think freely? The freedom of thinking, the freedom of thought, the freedom of sharing. It is unfortunate that our guests are not here today, but it shows us where we are in this conversation, the conversation of liberating our country. The responsibility that we have, this generation has, to liberate an entire nation. What must we do to ensure that our country exercises the proper freedom of speech, proper freedom of thought, and proper freedom of expression? If we are really in a democracy, how can the people of Uganda be assured of their personal security as well as the security of their property? These are all questions that shouldn't be answered by just Kakwenza or Dr. Stella Nyanzi or any other person that has been arrested and faced persecution. We need to interrogate the issues that are crippling our judicial system. We need to interrogate the issues that are crippling our healthy care system. Abasawo bavaayo batya, for example, ne bawandiika reporting eri bogus. I was listening to a Twitter space that was organized by Solomon Serwanja, and there were so many confessions. Doctors, physicians, telling us stories about what happens in Mulago. These were physicians abali bakola e Mulago. Naye nga bagamba nti omuntu bayinza okujja ng'alina obulwadde bwalwadde bamuwadde buto bamukozi ne bamugamba wandiika ripooti enfu. Nga these are orders from above. These are serious issues. If we still have people who can persuade doctors to write bogus reports against someone or about someone, mujjukire bulungi okufa kwa Ndebanda n'omusawo gwe baagaana okugenda South Africa okugenda okukola proper investigations, kiki kye yafa. Our country is in big trouble. It is in jeopardy. We cannot grow in such an environment. And it's easier for us to keep quiet, for some of us to just keep quiet. Kitegera n'ogamba lwaki njogera kambiveeko kasita ndi Canada, ndi Toronto, tebinkwatako kambite. But is that the right thing? Is that what we should be doing? Some of us are putting ourselves in harm's way to bring these conversations to the fore. Family members ne bakubira amasomo ne bagamba ekintu ekyo lwaki tokita muganda wange, lwaki tokivaako. Is that the right thing that we should do? People like Kakwenza Rukila Basaija are putting themselves in harm's way to point out the inconsistencies in the security system, in Uganda's security apparatus. Gwalieyo okozeewo ki? Bw'oba oyagala Uganda nga bw'ogyagala, oluyimba lwensembyeyo okuteeka ku lubadde lwa ffiri, agamba jangu tugende e Kampala, obeera Canada jangu tugende e Kampala, obeera Bungereza jangu tugende e Kampala. It is our land. Nsi yaffe tugyagala nga nammwe mugyagala. Kitegeera. Naye ensi si yaffe ffekka. Ensi y'abaana baffe, abazzukulu baffe. That country is for the future generations. If we do not protect it now, if we do not build systems within which future generations will thrive, what kind of responsibility? How shall we claim having been responsible citizens? What are the duties of a responsible citizen? Responsible citizen abeera atya? What are some of the things birina okwogerako? Baana bameka bali ekitali? Kakwenza yakugambye on some of the conversations that he had with Remy Bahati. Nti we yasooka okugenda we bali bamutocharinga, we bamuzinyisa for 23 hours. When someone has the guts to make you dance for 23 hours, think about it. Kiroze kumunagela gamba zine mirundi zina for 23 hours. These are things that we need to question. These are things that we need to interrogate. What happens to a person who is not Kakwenza? What happens to all those 6 other people that are in the same dilemma right now, who haven't been able to get out of that place? Think about it. We need to interrogate how our judicial system is working. If the security can sneak anyone into the courts of law, ku ssaawa 2 n'ekitundu ez'okumakya nga kooti zitandika ssaawa 3, judge n'avaayo nga judge yasoma amateeka, n'avaayo n'agamba mutuseeteesinze genda ekitali. Without your counsel's, the presence of your counsel, the prosecutors be baliwo bokka ne judge, and they validate that, and the parliament says nothing about it, doesn't question it. We cannot have all 3 arms of government that are dysfunctional. Executive is too powerful and no one questions it. The legislature is weak, very weak, and cannot question what the executive does or the judiciary does. The judiciary is completely broken. Nti n'abantu abalimu abatono abasobola okuvayo ne bagamba nti ekyo kikyamu tetukikola, tebabawuliriza. Guno omulimu si gwange nzekka, guno omulimu naye gugwo. Era njagala okuchallenginga abo bonna abawuliriza. First of all, gwe naali awo ng'owuliriza, weebale nnyo okubeera nti otugoberera, sharinga, likinga, ate otugoberere ne ku YouTube, Twitter ne Facebook. Naye njagala to having this conversation together. Kitegeera. So njagala wandika mu comments awo mbuze ekibuuzo nkiddemu nga bwe nsobola. Kubanga kati I'm not exactly sure how where to take this conversation. because I prepared for something completely different, and at the 11th hour, I got something completely different. Naye mbadde sagala kubaleka nga muhanginga. I didn't want to let you hang around, asking yourselves what happened. I have told you exactly what happened, but at the same time, I want us to have this conversation because this is an important conversation. We need to have it. It's important that we do have this conversation. It is important that we do have this conversation. So what question do you have that you would want to pose to me? Write in the comments. Let me know what's going on. Let me know what's going on. This is not a conversation for Sally Henry alone. This is a conversation. This is a national conversation. Bw'olaba Stella Nyanzi ng'agambye sijja kujja olw'okubanga kino ne kino ne kino. Tuleyo wansi weebuuze, kiki ekigenda mu maaso? We all know how Kakwenza is courageous, how courageous Kakwenza is. Kitegeera. Naye oba olabye agambye nti lindako katono kamala okwetereeza awo ng'otegeera. Tula wansi weebuuze ekibuuzo kiki ekigenda mu maaso. How do we fix this? How do I fix this? How should you participate in fixing this? Abantu bameka bali mu makomera. Naye nga tewali nsonga lwaki gye bali. Tewali nsonga nkuukutivu gye tumanyi nti gundi baamusiba lwakuba yakola kino. Because when they came to arrest him, they did not produce an arrest warrant. At some point, they didn't even take him to court. They just took him to jail. Other times, people spend more than 48 hours without being taken to court to be charged. What kind of country are we overseeing? These are some of the things that motivated Mr. Museveni and his group, Ogenda Munsco. Newankubadde nga he wasn't cheated per se. Monga ye yasemba mu election ya 1980. So did he have the legitimacy to go to the bush? No. In fact, under normal circumstances, Ugandans should be asking Mr. Museveni, why did he go to the bush? They are following a constitution nga bwe yegamba lwate yalinda mu 1985. Election endala eddako. Dr. Paul Kawanga Ssemwogere just celebrated his 90th birthday. What are his thoughts on how the country has been governed or managed? If we do not have the courage to question how our country is being managed, do we have a stake in this country? Is it our country? Can we claim that we are Ugandans? Uganda belongs to us. Can we claim it? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Go regime. If you are there, you work for the regime. Do you think this is the right thing to do? I know there's some. I know this show, the State of the Nation, has been is being followed closely by the state secret apparatus. Nenga twabagamba, this is the state of the nation. We are deliberate, we are reasonable, we are uncensored. We are deliberate kubanga twogera ku bintu ebiriyo bye mulaba buli omu byalaba n'omuntu owansi byalaba. We are reasonable nti twogera ne buli muntu yenna ali willing okujja okukola ki okusharinga n'eggwanga biki ebiriwo bino bye biriwo ne bigenda mu maaso. But we are also uncensored. Nti omuntu bw'aba alina amazima g'agenda okwogera nadde bwe gaba gamukwatako ajja kujja agwogere ku platform eno nga tetumugambye nti kino tokyogera. Ajja kyogera mu abantu abali eyo mwesalirewo. Gwali eyandaba. Weebuuze, what is your role in making Uganda a better place? What role should you be playing in making Uganda a better place? When Museveni, in one of his deliberations in the 90s, Yagamba murders that shouldn't be happening. Murders are still happening even today. Can we still continue to trust Mr. Museveni? He has done anything in his power to ensure that this show does not happen. He has done everything in his power to ensure that Kakwenza does not have show up today on this show. Because he cannot stand the truth. The people who know cannot easily be governed. So the less they know, the better. Many of you know that Remi Bahati was asked to pull down that interview that she had with Kakwenza. So this time around, they had to do everything in their power to see that this interview does not happen. They had to do anything in their power. Kubanga abantu abamanyi baziwo okufuga. So we are going to ensure that you do not have access to that information. We shall do anything in our power. We shall intimidate anyone to ensure that no information is given. We shall even contact Twitter to bagambe basuspending Twitter handle ya Kakwenza kubanga there's too much incriminating information. This one guy is killing our public relations. We must make him shut the F up. Tujja musirisa by all means. By all means, tujja musirisa. That's the government. The government ya Uganda tebikola yekka. Of course, they never allies. Abatayagala information in from me. Powerful allies in the West. Kati gwe muna Uganda aliye yandaba. Where was the Uganda yo? Do you have a stake in your country? If you do have a stake in your country, why is it that they can censor even a platform in a free world? Never temujja gibeerako. Temulina bye mugenda kwogera, temubuulira, bye mwogedde bimala. If you haven't downloaded Remi Bahati's interview, you probably won't have it there for a long time, for long. So if you have a chance, go and download it. Omanye biki ebifa mu ggwanga. If you have some time, for those of you who are not on Twitter, I'm going to encourage you to go and sign up on Twitter. There are lots of conversations, very important conversations that are happening on Twitter about the events happening in Uganda. Solomon Serwanja abadde ategeka gundi conversation, Twitter spaces, with very important information that we must listen to and interrogate. The issues are many. Enzi yaffe ffe tulina ogikyusa. We have to participate in building our country, making it a better place, not just for ourselves, but for our children and for our children's children. We cannot let our nation delve into the likes of North Korea, where there is suppression of speech, suppression of thought, independent thought, suppression of expression. I want to challenge every Ugandan who has time, who cares about Uganda, to interrogate the issues, specifically the policies that are being brought around. Or in the independent policy or independent bill mu parliament, interrogate it. Gitunulira ogiraba webuuze naye negenda tugasa ki ng'eggwanga. Egenda tugasa ki ng'eggwanga. Adifu Nkata webale okubeera ng'olina ky'oteesezza wano. Adifu Nkata Bashir agamba nti omanye eggwanga lyaffe liri mu transition. Ani anaasikira Museveni? Abantu bangi bagenda kufa mu lutalo lyebata munyambeko awo sikategedde akakamu. Nti abantu bangi bagenda kufa mu lutalo lwebatategeera. Museveni ayagala muhoozi kumusikira, abatayagala muhoozi bacreatinze nnyo. Babatayagala muhoozi, they created no as opposition. Bambi bannayuganda bagenda kufa. Kati ye ndowooza Adifu Nkata Bashir yagamba nti omanye eggwanga lyaffe liri mu transition. Ani anaasikira Museveni? Abantu bangi bagenda kufa mu lutalo lwe batategeera. Museveni ayagala muhoozi amusikire, abatayagala muhoozi bacreatinze no as the opposition. Bambi bannayuganda bagenda kufa. Eyo gye ndowooza. Wano ku state of the nation, every thought is valid. Buli muntu yenna alina kyalowooza kituufu. Until it's proven wrong. Until it is proven wrong. Gwe bw'oba olina endowooza, nkusaba ogiteekawo mu comment tugyogereko. Bameka abaagala okulowooza, who wants to engage with Mr. Nkata's thought? Yalowooza abantu abatayagala muhoozi project beba creatinzewo no. Abantu abamu balowooza nti nupe eri genuine yajja kukola ki kutaasa ggwanga. These are all conversations. These are honest conversations. We must engage in these conversations without fear or favor. Kitegeera. Ye Mwami Nkata bw'atyo bw'alowooza. Gwe olowooza otya? Gwe atali Mwami Nkata gwe okirowoozaako otya? Gavumenti ya Uganda abanga efunye amaanyi mangi nnyo okubeera nti esobola n'okukubira Twitter essimu ne bagamba suspend Kakwenza's Twitter handle because there is a lot of incriminating information. He has revealed too much. Batuba nga tulina gavumenti mu democracy ng'erina amaanyi bwe gatyo nga ne international organizations or international allies or international entities can work in collaboration with that government. Gwomuntu wa bulijjo olirudda. Thank God I am in a democratically free country and I can provide this platform for us to have this conversation. But they only want you to share certain kind of information, not all information. Many people thought, I think the government thought, Kasitaba Gamba, Kakwenza tajja kujja, Mr. Naye tajja kujja. Mr. Naye tajja kubeerawo, tebajja kwogera, kyo tegenda kubeerayo. She no kubeerayo tulina okudiscussinga with or without Kakwenza, with or without Stella Nyanzi. We must have these conversations. Nze naawe tulina okwebuuza ensi yaffe Uganda eragawo. Gwe nga kinoomu kiki ky'olina okukola okulaba nti eggwanga lyo libeera nga lyeyagaza, nga teryeyagaza gwe wekka naye nga lyeyagaza n'abantu abalala, such that you can live in a country where you can afford to pay for your child's school fees without too much struggle, whereby when you get sick you can go to a hospital close to your vicinity which you can trust. Ogende Mulago ng'otrustingayo, ogende Kiruddu ng'otrustingayo, otwala omuntu wo mu ddwaliro erikuli okumpi ng'otrustingayo. Nga you do not have to spend $500,000 to come to a university, to come to a hospital in Seattle. Kati gwe atalina busobozi busasula $500,000 okujja mu ddwaliro e Seattle nga speaker w'eggwanga Honorable Olanya we yakoze, gw'ogenda kukola otya? This is why we need to have these conversations. This is not a conversation for me. This is a conversation we must all engage with. These are important issues that we must investigate closer. The Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda has access to $500,000. Manje sente mmekezo. Oze ziyinza kuzimba amalwaliro ameka e Uganda. Lwaki tebazimba amalwaliro agali self-sustainable? Why can't they invest in hospitals esobola okuyamba omuntu wa bulijjo? There's so much, like many people have criticized Idi Amin. Idi Amin yazimba Mulago. Mulago kati tekyali affordable. The private section of Mulago is not affordable. Bajja kutwala bakudampinga Mulago, bw'oba tolina ssente za kubribinga abasawo tojja kufuna ddagala. Tojja kufuna abasawo bajja kujja bakutunulireko butunulirwa kuyiteko buyisi bagende omulwadde akulinaanye bamubuulire ekyokukola. Again, you won't have access to medication. What kind of country are we presiding over? What kind of country are we presiding over? And what must we do? Tulina kukola ki? Tulina kusala magezi ki? Bantu bangi abadde ne bagamba abadiaspora tebatutegeera biki tebatutegeerera biki. But we don't even have to have these conversations. Singa twali tetufaayo nezino emboozi twandibadde tetuzireeta. Ensonga lwaki tubeera mu mboozi zino ne tuzireeta ne tunyumyamu nga tetunyumyamu bunyumya byakunyumyamu naye tunyumyamu tusobole okukola ki? Okuzibula abantu baffe amaaso. Gwe nange tusaze magezi ki okulaba nti eggwanga lyaffe litereera? Legislature erina kukola ki? There are three arms of government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Gwe bw'ogenda mu kkooti ekolera ky'oyagala oba tekolera ky'oyagala, can you trust the courts of Uganda? Especially recently bagenda ne bagamba nti Kakwenza bwe kiba nti nno ddala bakutorturing genda ku poliisi okole ki? Owaabe. Naye ng'omuntu gwe bagamba okuwaabira, the person who is implicated in Kakwenza's torture is also the commander of the CDF. He's not just the CDF, he is also the son of the president. Kati ogenda muwabira ku poliisi yaabwe. Ogenda muwabira w'enanga. Ogenda muwabira w'ani oyo. Who is going to care? Who is going to care? Think about it. Gavumenti ya Uganda yabange efunye amaanyi agagaana omuntu ali mu diaspora okwogera. Ate gwali e Uganda olwazegenda kukola etya. Gavumenti ya Uganda yabange ina amaanyi agakubira Twitter esimu ne bagamba mujjeeko suspend that Twitter handle. Because taliyo wano, we cannot illegal arrest him anymore. We cannot throw him to jail. Naye kakati mujjeeko eddoboozi abeere nga tasobola communicating. Mumuganira ogenda ku state of the nation. Ensi yaffe egenda ludda. Where is our country heading? Where is the country heading to? Where is our country heading to? Do we want another North Korea in Africa? Are we going to have a North Korea in Uganda? Baleaders webavaayo interrogate ensi yaffe ffenna nze naawe. Gwe Munnayuganda ali eyandaba. Bw'olaba omuntu ng'ali genuine ng'alwanirira eggwanga lyo, mwegatteko. Bwe tumanyi by'akola mubuuze. Ate nammwe abatukulembera bwe tubabuuza ebibuuzo nga bizibu, temutunyiigira, mutuddemu. Tubuuza kubanga twagala kumanya. Tukuyambye tutya? How can we work together? How can we work together to straighten up our country? Patricia yagambye bw'atyo. I don't think Ugandans realize how powerful Museveni is. You cannot fight him individually. It has to be a unified effort. Ate mutuufu. Yagamba talowooza nti bannayuganda mumanyi omusajja amaanyi g'ayina mu kaseera kano. Tosobola mulwanyisa bw'omu n'omalako. Tulina kwegatta. We have to have a unified voice. The guy is powerful. It's real. Alina ssente, alina ne ba allies ab'amaanyi. Bakoledde interests whose interests he has promoted. 2 days ago, we were suspending the Kakwenza's Twitter handle. I tried to reach out to Twitter to find out why it was suspended. I couldn't even reach out to Twitter. There's no proper mechanism for reaching out to Twitter. So Twitter has also become too powerful that in order to isolate you, if you are deemed someone who could potentially break the government, what they do is try to isolate you. Gizako kwa isolating kujja mu bantu. Kitegeera. Bagezako ku silencing. That interview that Kakwenza did with Remy was very damaging. I think the government was actually lucky kubanga Remy yali very lenient with Kakwenza. She didn't ask him the questions that I hoped she would. I think she was scared herself. Era ndowooza nakola ensobi okwadvertisinga interview kubanga singa saagi advertisinga tebande girwanyisiza. Ninakoze ensobi n'egyadvertising, they would have just come. Kubanga mbadde very, very well prepared. Mbadde very well prepared. This was supposed to be the richest conversation. Nga tewali atya mutwala kitalya. Mwami Museveni naye kakitunuliddemu n'agamba there's going to be a lot of damage that I cannot mitigate. The only way to mitigate this is to stop it outright. It can't happen. It can't happen. It can't happen. Patricia, do you want to come in the studio? Send me a WhatsApp message if you want to come in the studio to get to for about 30 minutes to together. I don't know. Not only powerful, Museveni is very strategic, and opposition isn't. If Kakwenza Rukilabasajja did not get an opportunity to speak to his lawyer as he was being kidnapped, it is likely. I know, definitely. Yeah, they would never have taken responsibility for his kidnapping. And those are some of the things I prepared for this interview, especially after seeing Remy Bahati's interview. I really prepared for it. But he had to use everything in his power to stop it from happening. He had to use everything in his power to stop it from happening. Gumuna Uganda ye webuze. Do you have a stake in your country? Do you have a stake in your country? Which stake do you have? Abantu abasinga bali e Uganda abakolera government n'abatakolera government, whether bali mu opposition or n'abakolera government, the circumstances under which they are working are very difficult. Nate fenna tetusobola kuva mu Uganda. They have to work under those circumstances until things get better. Everyone has almost become hypocritical, especially the people who are working in government, the people who are supposed to implement the policies. They work under very difficult circumstances. Nti niwe balabanga akola ekintu kikyamu agamba kankole ekintu ekikyamu for now nakitereeza edda. But some of these decisions are going to be very hard to reverse later on. Ebintu ebimu bigenda kubeera bizibu nnyo okutereeza. Abantu abalina obusobozi okukyusa ebintu basirisa. The people who have the power to influence, they are quiet. They are quiet. They have sown, the government has sown a seed of distrust among the populations towards their leaders. Nkata's comment mujirabi. Which means there's distrust even in NUP. Abantu bangi balowooza Dr. KB is a government stooge himself. There's that distrust that has been sown into Ugandans. It does not strengthen us, it weakens us. It weakens us. Tekitufuula b'amaanyi kubeera nga tuli divided bwe tutyo, kubeera nga tetwekkiririzaamu, kitufuula banafu. Kitufuula banafu. Gwe nange tugenda okusala amagezi ki? What strategies are we going to lay to ensure that we make our country a better place, not just for ourselves, but for our children and our children's children? Tugenda okusala amagezi ki? That's a very long submission, Patricia. Very long submission. I was on the team of activists working on his release, and the state deleted over 15 days of posts from his previous arrests from my Facebook. Yeah, so that's how powerful this guy is. The fact that they knew it was likely I would work on his case and I needed to use the videos from his previous arrest. Oh, I have no words. You cannot fight Museveni with baby gloves, and clearly those that are not fighting are aware, and there's nothing the fighters are missing. Yeah. Yes, Ongalwachi, his account was suspended. His Twitter account was suspended. Do you know how much information was there? Do you know how many researchers were running to his Twitter handle just to get information? How many scholars were running to his Twitter handle to document some of that information? Remi Bahati yabagambi bamukubidde essonero bamugamba nyabo deleting agundi. So if you haven't downloaded it, that's a missed opportunity for you. There's a lot of information. Ate yawona. Bawona government yawona kubanga Remi was so lenient with Kakwenza. Yeah, she had an opportunity to ask him very many serious questions that would have been more implicating to government's position. That is again to criminalizing government ya Mwami Museveni. There's a lot to talk about, but I cannot have this conversation by myself. I love to stay around and continue talking about these issues, but they are counterproductive when I do not have anyone else other than the two that have so far commented. Gwe mpuliriza baba bakutumye obanga okolera gavumenti ya Mwami Museveni nga bakutumye gy'owuliriza ebitugenda okwogerako oba byengenda okwogerako, given that you probably already know that these two are not going to show up anymore, perhaps because of the preamble I made. Genda ogambe mukamawo that we shall not waver. We shall continue to have these conversations with or without the people that you deem dangerous. We are not dangerous. We are going to use our critical minds to interrogate issues that pertain to governance in Uganda. We are going to do that. without misleading anyone. Wanga, we want us to have this conversation together. Njagala oleeta ekirowoozo kyo nange ndita ekyange ongambe nti ekyo kyogedde kikyamu olw'ensonga bweti ne bweti ne bweti nange nkugambe nti nze bweti bwe ndowooza olw'okubanga kino baakikola mu mwaka bwe guti kyaliwo kino kyali bwe kiti mu mwaka bwe guti ne kino kyali bwe kiti mu mwaka bwe guti kati tuba tulowooza nti kino kyenkugambye kikyamu. We must educate our sisters and brothers. We must educate our countrymen. Tulina okwebuulirira ne twegumya naye ate nga bwe tupulaninga engeri gye tugenda okufuulamu eggwanga lyaffe eryesiimisa, not just for the elites. Naye n'omukyala akola ennakaseera aweerera omwana we Makerere nga talina miliyoni 3 za kusipendinga buli mwaka. Omwami avuga bodaboda ng'alina okutwala omwana oba mukyala we mu ddwaliro. People must be able to afford health care. People must be able to afford education. Those are basic human rights. You must know. But you cannot know when there are so many hindrances to access to education. People must have access to health care. Uganda must not be for the elites alone. Uganda must not be for the people who can afford to send their loved ones in Seattle for medication or for treatment, and not for the people back home. We need to interrogate issues like why, for example, why would the judge send Kakwenza to Chitalia nga tamusindise mu ddwaliro okusooka mukebera nga yamugamba nti bantu challenge neetaaga okugenda mu ddwaliro? Why would he send him to Chitalia before sending him to the hospital? What kind of judge is that? What kind of judge is that? Why would a judge offer someone bail on condition that they leave their passports in their chambers? What kind of jail? What kind of bail is that? Uganda kuwa bail on condition that you leave your passport in my chambers? Cut, what's up with the sureties? These are difficult conversations to have. Some of us who are on the front lines, we kind of have no choice but to be on these front lines. Naye tetusobola kubeera ku front lines nga temutuyambyeko. Gwe bw'oba oli eyo ng'ofa ku ggwanga lyo, bw'oba oli eyo if bw'obanga wafunyemu ka urge for even 1 minute akagamba nti njagala kuwuliriza Kakwenza ky'alina kugamba, njagala okuwuliriza Kakwenza ky'agenda otugamba leero, njagala okuwuliriza Stella Nyanzi ky'agenda otugamba, bw'obanga wabaddemu ne ka urge for just 1 minute, it means you love your country. Naye weebuuze gwe okozeewo ki? Weebuuze olina kukola ki? Ask yourself those questions. Uganda yaffe ffenna. Naye Uganda tulina okumakinga sure, tulina okukola kyonna ekisoboka okulaba nti nno it gets better before it gets worse. We have to. The people who are watching us on Twitter, thank you so much for following us. We are speaking both Luganda and English because majority of our people are able to comprehend us better in our local language. So we do appreciate everyone is following us. This is the State of the Nation. My name is Henry Sally. We are speaking about a conversation regarding the events that are happening in Uganda. Specifically, the events that have been happening pertaining to the persecution of Mr. Kakwenza Lukilawaseja and Stella Nyanzi. We are also questioning what strategies we need to lay to ensure that Uganda gets better before it gets worse. We are questioning if Mr. Museveni is still the person who captured power in 1986, the one who talked about murders as evil. Is this video I'm going to play a video of Museveni talking about murders. Hopefully you can write a comment after listening to it and tell me what you think.
It will not do for you to be a DA in a district and people are murdered and you don't arrest the murderers. It will not do for you to be a district police commander and people are being killed in your district and you don't know what's killed them. This will simply not do, will not work. I will not accept it. I will not preside over a country where a Ugandan is killed and the authorities do not know who has killed him.
How many people, for example, have been killed and the authorities cannot account? How many people? I just had a conversation this morning. There's a student who was killed in Busitema. Security personnel have done Mukubama, that's enough. Why do security personnel use live guns in universities? Last week, omwana yemakere bamukuba gundi bakasuka kanister mu ruumu ye najja nagikwatako nemukuba omukono gwonna. He's studying, he's a medical student. He probably wanted to do surgery. So how can such a person do surgery after he has lost his arm? Why have universities been militarized? Why is everything militarized? Universities militarized, hospitals militarized. Everywhere you go, all military. Why? Why is everything militarized? That is a question that we must ask ourselves. But asking is not enough. We must answer. Answering questions is not enough. We must reinterrogate. We have to ask questions and answer them. But even after answering those questions, we must reinterrogate our answers. Tumanye bino bye tusuggestinga, is this what is going to help our country? Are we offering the best to the future of this country? Uganda yafefenna. You and I must work tirelessly to ensure that Ugandans enjoy their country. The responsibility is not just mine, it is yours as well. Like I said earlier, it is easier to keep quiet. It is easier to keep quiet. But is that what you want to do? Government yaba fishermen bagiyita yabagamba government yaba fishermen soko jjukire kano akavidiyo. Is this the country you want to inherit? Obeera nga oli wa myaka gyange oba muto wange ensi gy'oyagala okubeeramu. You want to be a beggar in your country? Uganda is rich. We are resource rich. We have intelligent people. Why have we been reduced to beggars? Why have our people been reduced to beggars? Yensi watu gyoyagala bannayuganda nga muli bakozi mutuuka kutya ku ssabo erityo okusimba layini bakuwe 5,000. Prime Minister bamukwata batya ku video nga akola gundi eyo ng'agaba ssente bw'atyo n'ata resigning. Why is she still a Prime Minister? That video alone, she should have resigned. She should have resigned with that video alone. She's still the Prime Minister. Uganda is a nightmare. My friends, webale kuba nti otulaba olwaleero. My name is Henry Sally. This is the state of the nation. The state of the nation. Byebifa mu ggwanga. Ebyo byebifa mu ggwanga nga wobirabyawo. Byebifa mu ggwanga. Tugenda kusala magezi ki okutereeza eggwanga lyaffe? Tugenda kusala magezi ki? Wamwe lyombe webale kubeera ng'otulaba. Agambye nti this video of a Prime Minister handing out money is so depressing. I had never seen it until today. I know, yeah, that's that. Bwetutuusawo muganda wange, weewo tutuuse. There are so many other depressing videos that I don't want to play. But those are symptoms. Those are just symptoms. Museveni babanga so powerful. Ntayinza no intimidating abantu abali ebulayo okwogera. N'abalemesa okwogera. Ku media gyatasobola kukwata kubanga singa abadde ku NBS singa bankimyeko dda nange ne bantu bali bankasuka mu CMI. Nga bwe bakola muganda waffe ani Kasumba oba Samson Kasumba ennaku zino ayogeza kirimi. Omusajja omugezi who used to interrogate issues excellently. Bw'omulaba kati byawandiika byonna ogamba naye omusajja ono yabaaki. But that's how powerful the Uganda system is. That is how powerful the system is. We are going to lose all the voices of reason unless we have the courage to speak together. It can't be isolated criticism. Even positive criticism is not wanted. It cannot be isolated criticism. Tasobola kubanga nze nzekka nze nvayo nenjogera. Kakwenza tasobola kubanga ye yekka yavayo n'ayogera. Stella Nyanzi tasobola kubanga ye yekka yavayo n'ayogera. They will isolate us. Nga tukyalina kye tukola. The guy is that powerful. Unless we choose to speak in unison, we won't have a choir. An effective choir is one that sings in unison. Bagamba, banaye bayimbye hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. You cannot sing hallelujah by yourself. The hallelujah chorus, the hallelujah chorus must be sung by a choir to be effective. Zola kuvayo nzekka. They will isolate me. Kakwenza has been isolated. He has no access to Twitter anymore. That is more depression. By the way, these two people, Kakwenza Karabasaija and Dr. Stella, they are both suffering post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. Post-traumatic stress disorder. They are both admitted. No, one. Omanyi waliwo obeera awo ne weebaka n'ojjukira bye baakuyisaamu n'ozukka n'okuzuuka otone tukulema. The entire night n'osula ng'otunula kubanga ojjukidde the trauma gye wayitamu nga bakutokyalira. I have so many videos of Stella. Stella has spoken, has given us her story. But kubanga self-preparing those videos because I thought they were going to be here. So I didn't see any reason as to why I would have prepared those videos. We have a couple of videos talking about Turkey, about persecution for Mr. Kakwenza, but I don't have them here because I didn't prepare for that. I prepared for a completely different conversation. And trust me, if it wasn't me, any other person, if any other person was told what I was told, 4 minutes to the start of the show, they wouldn't have showed up. I only showed up because I'm prepared. Nengamba newankubadde program gye nabadde ntegesi si egenda okubeerawo. Kampulira abantu baleme kubeerawo nga bahangi nga balinda. I was shocked. I was shocked. I have an audio from Kakwenza, but I can't play it. Because it's personal. Nayenga, we have a long way to go. Bamikwano, Mkwano gwange, we have a long way to go. If we want our country to be a better place, we must strive to make it a better place. Zino ensi tuzibeeramu naye zino ensi si zaffe. Tuzibeeramu ne basigala nga batuyita bannayuganda. Ne bw'oba olina akatabo ka wano, nze nina akatabo ka wano naye there are so many places I go to ne bambuuza mpozi ovaawa? Nti nva wano n'obabuulira stage ovaawa ddala ddala. Kale nva Uganda. Kitegeera. Naye ate n'otuuka okugenda Uganda ne bagamba bw'oba oyagala okujja Uganda sooka ofune invitation olyoke ojje olabe ku bantu bo. Sooka ofune invitation okuva e Uganda. Kakati where do I live? Where do I belong? Abaganda tebakikasa nti ndi mu Canada. N'Abannayuganda nammwe mungobye. Kati where do I belong? Where do I belong? That's why I call myself a global citizen. I am global, but I am also local. So wherever I'm living, that's where I belong. I am a global citizen. Tumwenyamu naye ng'ebintu biri serious. Kitegeera. Abaganda tugamba nti ekyonooneka nga ffenna tulaba tokinenyeza munno. Ensi yaffe tugitunuulira, ffenna tugiraba direction gyetwala. Naye ekyonooneka nga ffenna tulaba tokinenyeza munno. Okay? N'olw'ensonga ezo baganda bange mbagala nnyo. Thank you so much for following us. We are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube. Please follow, like, and pretty much ensure that there's a notification that lets you know what's going to happen and when. I will ensure that pending certain conditions, I'll ensure that this conversation happens. Whenever it happens, it will happen. It will happen. I will let you know when it's going to happen. But if I do not advertise, do not blame me. That conversation will happen, whether it has been advertised or not. Mbagala nnyo. My name is Henry Sally. This is the State of the Nation. Thank you so much for following us. I want to thank our sponsors, the University of Toronto Affinity Partners. Thank you so much for your space, for the sponsorship, and for making us stay tuned all the time. Abatugoberera mwebale nnyo, mwebale ddala. Oba tonaba kutugoberera ku YouTube, genda otugoberere, anoonya Henry Sally, subscribe, follow State of the Nation. I will keep you posted on whatever happens next. Happy Valentine's Day to all the lovers. Happy Valentine's Day. Mwena batugoberera mbagala nnyo. Mwebagala bange this Valentine's Day coming up tomorrow. Mbagala nnyo. Stay in touch. Stay safe. Keep caring for your country. God bless you. Happy Sunday.
This is the State of the Nation. Irifa Mwanga. We are deliberate, we are reasonable, we are uncensored. The State of the Nation with Henry Sally.